everyone, my name is Faaeza and today I'm going to be demonstrating a recipe on behalf of Tesco Cookery School in association with Jamie Oliver. And the recipe is fish cakes with a veggie coleslaw. So for this recipe, we need the following ingredients and I'll talk you through it. So for the fish cakes, we need 2 potatoes, 1 can of either salmon or tuna or mackerel, whichever is preferred. And then we need 50 grams of peas and some plain flour, which I've got in this tub, and an egg. For the veggie coleslaw, we need half a cabbage. You can either use a white cabbage like I am, or you can use a red cabbage, or any other crunchy vegetable that you prefer, maybe some celery or fennel, the choice is yours. Then we need half a red onion, so I'm going to use only half of this one. We need an apple, a carrot, and some herbs. So today there's fresh parsley, but you can use whichever herbs you prefer. So you can use mint or coriander. For the dressing then, we need some yogurt, we need mustard, we need some lemon juice and olive oil, and then of course seasoning. Never forget the seasoning, salt and pepper there. In order to prepare everything, we need to make sure that we have the following equipment. So there's a bowl here that I have for all the waste. In this bowl, I'm going to keep it ready for the veggie coleslaw. And I've got a small bowl here as well to beat up the egg in. I'm going to need a box grater, and I've got a peeler to peel the potatoes and the carrot, and I've got a tin opener to open the salmon. I also have a plate or a baking tray, whatever you prefer, which is lined with baking paper, so that once I've prepared the fish cake patties, I can put it on this baking paper. And on the hob at the moment, I've got a pan boiling for the potatoes. And I've also got a large frying pan ready for when it's time to cook the fish cakes. I've already peeled and cut 1 potato, and I'm peeling the second one. Now, to cut the potato into 4, you use what is called the claw method. So you put your hand over the knife like this and make sure that the knife is placed roughly halfway through the potato, and just gently, with some gentle pressure, and cut right through. That's it. Now, the best way to make sure that there's stability in cutting is to have a flat surface. So now I've got a flat surface here on both sides. Now I'm just going to use the claw method again and cut it into quarters. It's 1 done, and the other one. There we go. So we've got the 2 potatoes now cut into quarters, and I'm going to now pop this in the boiling water that I have on the hob. And in the boiling water, I'm just going to put a little bit of salt. So as you can see, I've got water boiling on the hob, and I've added a bit of salt to it. Now, the best way to ensure that you don't splash yourself when you're putting in the potatoes is to use a large slotted utensil like this one, and just gently drop it in. Leave it there to boil. Put the lid on And while the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to make the veggie slaw. So now we're going to start making the veggie slaw. So for that, I'm going to start with 1 red onion, but we need only half of it. So we need to peel all the skin off. That we still have this root here, so that it becomes easy to cut. Now, using what is called the rock chop method, we just start slicing. And make sure that you don't cut into the root. And then we need to cut slices because we need fine onion, and use the claw method again to make sure that your fingers are well protected. The next vegetable that I'm going to use in the coleslaw is a white cabbage, but you can use red cabbage or fennel or celery, whatever you prefer. Okay. And as you can see, the white cabbage has a core over here in the stalk, so we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is just cut around so that I leave the center bit out. As you can see, I've cut on either side of the cabbage, and I have cut the stalk off and a bit in the middle. So I've still got this much of cabbage. Now for the coleslaw, I think this much white cabbage is enough, but if you would like to add more cabbage to your veggie slaw, then all you need to do is just continue chopping. At this point, it's important to check whether the potatoes are done. So remove the lid. And the best way to check it is by inserting a butter knife into your potato, and it's going in like butter. So the potatoes are definitely ready. Drain. Let all the water come off. You can put them on the top of the pan again and just let all the water drain. Next thing that we're going to add to the veggie coleslaw is an apple. But if you don't want to use an apple, you can even use a pear or any other crunchy fruit. So for this, I'm going to grate it. So I've got a box grater here, and you use the larger grate here. There we are. Now add this to your slaw. The vegetable that I'm going to use for the veggie coleslaw is a carrot. So cut off the ends. That in the waste, and we're just going to peel the carrot now. Now I'm going to grate the carrot as well. So just hold the carrot and use the large grate. Similarly with the apple, I'm going to use the spoon to remove all the bits that are left on the grater. On the inside. And add this to your veggie coleslaw bowl. So far you've got some lovely colors in there. You've got orange, you've got the red from the apple, you've got the red onion, and you've got the white cabbage. Now there's one more thing and one more color that's going to go in, and that's going to be your parsley. order to cut the herbs, I'm going to use what is called the cross chop method. So you bunch all your herbs together in a bit of a roll, and then now once you've roughly chopped these, put your hand on top here and just run it along. I've got the herbs now cut finely. I'm going to use half of them in the veggie slaw. You can see that lovely green going in there. And the other half is going to be used for the fish cakes. Now the last thing that I have to chop is a lemon and cut through. Now you've got one half that you're going to use for the dressing, and the other half you're going to use as wedges. We've got these wedges now to garnish when we finally plate up. So this half is going to be used for the dressing. Now it's time to make our fish cakes. So the potatoes have been draining in the colander and I've transferred them into a bowl. To this, I'm going to add 50 grams of frozen peas which I've defrosted. So just pop them in there and commence mashing. I've removed the can of salmon into a bowl, and I'm going, because I needed to drain the oil from it, all I need is half that portion. So transfer that into the mashed potatoes and peas. And just mash it in and combine. Fish is a very good source of protein, and oily fish actually is very good for you. It gives you the good oils that your body needs. So salmon does that, tuna does that, mackerel is good as well. And you're supposed to eat about 2 portions of oily fish a week. So these fish cakes are basically taking you towards that aim. Now these herbs that I'd saved, half the herbs, I'm going to add this in here. And a tablespoon of plain flour. And I need only half an egg, so I'm just going to break this egg into this bowl, beat it, and drop in only about half the amount in there. That's all we need. Seasoning. You must not forget seasoning. So add some salt to taste. And black pepper. Now it's time to shape our patties. So I've put flour on my board after cleaning it, and I'm just going to put all of this mash onto it. If you find that your mash is a little bit wet when you were mixing it, just add a little more flour to it. That should take care of it. And if you want your fish cakes a little zesty and lemony, you can zest the rind of half a lemon and add that to this as well. From this mash, we'll be able to get 4 patties. So I've spread the mash out on the board like this. And I'm going to take a palette knife and just make 4 portions. Now I'm going to make patties out of it. This mash is still a little bit runny, but the flour that we have on the board will help bind it. Take it in your hand. Make sure you've got a little more flour to bind it. And make patty shapes. And put it on your baking sheet on the plate. I've made the 4 patties, and in order to firm up before we actually fry them, we need to pop them in the fridge for about half an hour. It's time now to make the dressing for our veggie slaw. So this half lemon that we had saved is going to be used now. And I'm just going to squeeze the juice. I'm using a strainer here, just so that in case there are any seeds, they'll get caught in the strainer. Now we need 2 tablespoons of yogurt. And then I've got Dijon mustard here, but you can use English mustard or whole grain mustard. If you're using English mustard, make sure you stick to half a teaspoon. Because this is Dijon mustard, it's a little bit milder, so I'm going to use 1 teaspoon. About 1 tablespoon of oil. We've got olive oil here. And as always, we need to season. So, salt to taste. And black pepper. As you can see, I'm using this container to actually make the dressing. You can use a sterilized jam jar instead. And by using this method, make sure it is closed very, very firmly. Now all you need to do is shake it vigorously. And open up. You can see there's a really lovely creamy dressing there. And all you need to do is drizzle it over the veggie slaw and mix it thoroughly. Make sure you've got all that lovely goodness out of the jar. So you have your veggie slaw here, and all I'm going to do is mix it through. The fish cakes now have been in the fridge firming up, and it's time to fry them off. So I've put a couple of tablespoons of oil in this large pan because I'm frying off all 4 together If you do not want to fry off all 4, you can put 2 of them in a freezer bag and pop them in the freezer and fry them off later. But because I'm frying off all 4, I'm using a larger pan and I'm using 1 more tablespoon of oil. If you are frying off only 2, you can use a smaller pan and 1 tablespoon of oil is enough. I can feel now that the pan is hot, and I'm just going to swirl the oil around in the pan so that all of it is coated. And it's time to put in the fish cakes. As you can see, it is quite a wet mixture, so be very careful when you transfer it. And now that it's in the pan, leave it there for a good 4 minutes. Don't touch it and don't try and turn it over at this point. So now it's been about 4 minutes on the other side and it's definitely done, so turn off the hob. First things first. And you can plate. There we have it. So we've got all our nutrients in there through all the food groups. So you've got carbohydrates through the potatoes, you've got protein with the fish, and you've got all your veggies and a bit of dairy and fruit as well. And this is an entire wholesome meal in itself. And so 2 fish cakes and this coleslaw is enough as a portion. And I hope you will try this recipe and I hope you enjoy it as much as I'm sure I am going to now. Thank you very much for watching.